Welcome to this UK Data Service tutorial on preparing your data collection for deposit. When preparing your data collection for deposit or for upload to our Reshare data repository, the key issue to consider is whether a researcher has sufficient information to be able to reuse and understand the data, including how it was collected. We provide guidance on good practice for preparing quantitative and qualitative data and accompanying documentation. For quantitative data, your data must be anonymized appropriately for secondary use and to a level appropriate to the access conditions to ensure that no confidentiality issues remain to be resolved before we can release it. Also, all variables and values in the data files must be fully and coherently labeled to ensure the users are able to analyze the data effectively. You can find further information on preparing your data for deposit on our Formatting Data web pages. As well as preparing your data before deposit, you should also prepare accompanying documentation. This ensures that the users can make informed analysis of your data and will not misinterpret anything. For a quantitative survey, for example, documentation should include a technical report covering sampling, methodology, and any limitations or errors that may remain in the data. Questionnaires, with variable names noted alongside questions, interview instructions, coding frames and instructions, information on derived variables, and any details of weighting variables with any relevant advice on how and when to apply the weights. Further information and advice can be found on our Documenting Data web pages. For qualitative data, for example a set of transcribed interviews, all transcripts should be checked to ensure that they are complete and coherent. Basic details should be provided for each respondent, so the users are aware of important demographic characteristics. All transcripts and ads data should be fully anonymized before deposit. This ensures that no confidentiality issues remain to be resolved, which can hold up data release. You can find further information on preparing your data for deposit on our Formatting Data web pages. You should also prepare documentation to accompany your qualitative data collection. Again, this ensures the users can make informed analysis of your data and will not misinterpret anything. For example, interview schedules should be deposited, similar to the questionnaires that accompanies a quantitative survey. An example of the consent form should be included, so that users are aware of the agreements under which the data were gathered, methodological information on sampling, coverage, and the aims of the research, and a study report, such as the ESRC End of Award report, to provide contextual information for users. Further information and advice can be found on our Documenting Data web pages. For data that have been accepted into our main collection, we run a number of in-house processing checks. If you have prepared your data according to the previously mentioned recommendations, this ensures that processing is completed quickly and efficiently. The processing activities depend upon the unique characteristic of each dataset, but a number of procedures are always undertaken, including reviewing data for confidentiality issues and advising you on steps to take, checking for basic inconsistencies in the data, and carrying out data enhancement to agreed standards. When preparing the data, we provide available user documentation in an easy-to-use format, usually as bookmarked PDF documents. We also generate multiple data formats for dissemination and preservation, such as SPSS, Stata, and tab delimited. When creating a catalog record for our discovery system, we include links to the user documentation and to any citations or related publications we have been informed of. Each catalog record also gets assigned a digital object identifier. This ensures that even if the location of the data changes, the DOI will always link to the data that were used. For data that you uploaded to Reshare, we check a random sample of files for any confidentiality risks, such as the inclusion of information or variables that would allow respondents to be identified. We also harvest the description of your data in your Reshare so that it can be searched and discovered using our Discover Online catalog. In summary, when preparing your data, ensure that your data collection is reusable, complete and coherent, well labeled and well documented, and suitably anonymized. We run a number of checks on your data, depending upon whether they have been accepted into the main collection or whether you're uploading them to our Reshare repository, and we make your data searchable and available through our Discover catalog. That's it. Thank you for watching.